John, we were talking yesterday as well about the fact that, here's a guy, 6'3", 215, 220 right now. You could easily put on some more weight if you wanted to. The training in the off season, sometimes you have to be a little bit more specific. For some guys, they have to bulk up. For some guys, they try and get some speed. Your balancing act right now, John, is trying to figure out the right weight and the right speed to be effective in the NHL. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at right now, around 215. I think anything above that is unnecessary. It's important to be able to move around. So I know guys at my gym are focusing a little more on yoga and the flexibility element and not so much bulking up like a football player. So yeah, I think this is a great weight for me. And if I could just stay here and keep adjusting the speed, I think I'll find success.
Nick, you go to the University of North Dakota, where, by the way, I know that you knew that I went there and was a great player for 2 years. Won the NCAA. And again, that's the only thing that Nick and I will ever have over Jonathan Toews is he never won an NCAA championship. Congratulations, Adam, Nick, well done. Jonathan Toews, you'll never have it. I love Gil. That's the only thing I got on him. You stayed in a dorm called what?
Walsh Hall.
And I told you the story. Back in 1980, that's where we stayed. Jonathan Toews stayed in the same dorm. The tradition at North Dakota is pretty cool. Talk about living in the dorm, in a place where, there's a lot of history with the hockey players. It's where the hockey players have always been. Talk about Walsh Hall and maybe the University of North Dakota campus.
Yeah, Walsh Hall was unbelievable. I loved it there, except for the no AC part. It was good. Everyone's right there. It's an all guys dorm, so just the bros hanging out in there. But yeah, North Dakota is a smaller school, smaller campus, good education.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. No, it's got a good pilot school, but that's about it.
Yeah, they do have a great aviation school. It's one of the best in the United States.
A lot of people that fly over for that.
Is that what you were in?
Spell aviation.
I don't can't do that right now. But no, it's a great school, fun time. Obviously, they're known for their hockey program. It's the only Division I sport, so it's pretty cool. The whole campus comes to most of the games. It's 12,000 seats, one of the best rinks in the country. So it was a great time, and I loved it there. And I try to go back every summer and revisit with some of the guys there.
Are you taking any summer classes? Are you going back to school at all?
No, not yet.
Troy,
not yet?
No.
Ever?
I don't know. My last class I took was online walking. You would so this class you would I would walk around the campus and take a selfie and just write a 2-paragraph journal about what I saw on my walk. I did that once, turn in one every week, and I got a B in it, so that's pretty good.
John, kind of sounds like Yale, right? Adam, these guys to your left, they're just starting their NHL careers. You're finished your career. Talk about what you're doing now and what's in the future for you.
I don't know what's next for me. This year was my first year being done with hockey, and for me it was time. I was ready. My body was tired. I had 13 surgeries in 10 years playing. Again, I was just good at getting in the way. So I got hit a lot, and so this was my first year. I did a lot of stuff that I never had time to do that I always wanted to do, and I did some hunting trips. I learned to surf. I did a lot of surfing, playing a lot of golf now, a lot of time on the lake. Nick's my golf partner in the summer, so if anybody wants to take us two on, we'll take you on. We'll
Bring
take
your
anyone
wallet.
on. Bring your wallet,
Bring your
too.
wallet.
I got a ringer. So I've been doing that. I've done a lot of stuff this year, or more stuff this past season with the Blackhawks. Again, I enjoy being around here. I enjoy being within the organization and doing things with them. That's been fun for me, and so then I still get to watch these guys, and I get to see how they're doing and catch a few games here and there. And what's next in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, I don't know. It's kind of sorting through that, and as the summer goes on, I think of different things that I may be interested in or may want to do. but I don't know. It's a new chapter in my life, and but people always say, do you miss playing, or is the transition hard? I haven't missed playing for a second. I don't miss training camp. I don't miss going to doing these tests these guys are going to have to do in a month. You miss hanging out with the guys a little bit, but me being able to come back and do this, I get to spend a weekend with these guys and see your old teammates, and I still keep in touch with just about every guy that I played with in 2010 that we won. So I'm involved enough, and I don't have to do, travel, 200 days a year, and I don't have to get beat up anymore. And so it's been a nice transition for me.
If you had the opportunity, would you like to stay in the hockey world?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, it's all I've done, for the last 30 some years, 30 years probably. So maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't, again, I just don't have, you sound like my parents asking me what I'm going to do to me every day. But I don't know.
So you're still at home?
Yeah.
Here in the basement?
No, but I enjoy being in hockey. I do. I enjoy the different things I've done with the Blackhawks this year, and if there'll be more of that, that'd be great. But I just I'm sorting through that, so we'll see.
Vinnie, 49 games last year. You had 6 goals, 14 points on the season. What was the focus this off season coming into next year's season?
So far this summer, I mean, like John said, I think you got to find that happy medium where you don't want to be too heavy and you don't want to be too light. I've been working a lot on the first 2 steps and working a lot on my legs and my core and make it stronger so I could go in the corner and beat up some of those guys. So, pretty much all aspects of the game. I haven't really skated that much yet, but I'm going to start to now and then slowly work on a bunch of things to get ready for training camp.
John, I know that there's some things in the hockey world, and hopefully I'm not touching on a subject here that is too emotional, but I know that you're heavily involved in the Big E Foundation. And a young gentleman, Ian Jenkins, who was a good friend of yours, a teammate, died at an earlier age. And his motto was HAP, have a purpose. If you would just kind of touch on that, because I think it's a very important foundation, a purpose that you have to continue the tradition of what Ian was doing as a young player, and maybe talk about the Big E Foundation itself.
Yeah, the Big E Foundation is a great cause, and recently at Yale I had a sweatshirt sale around campus, which is just an example of some of the fundraisers that players that knew Ian are trying to help out. So Ian Jenkins was an incredible goaltender. Obviously he's missed dearly, and I think he was well on his way to an NHL career, which is so sad. And I'm still close with his father, but I think just to understand that having a purpose is so important for all of us, and you can't really take any of this for granted. You have to understand and sometimes take a step back and have that perspective, look at the big picture. And I remember Ian would always have on his gear HAP for have a purpose. So for me, it's really about, like I said, taking a step back, understanding that all of us are so fortunate to be in these shoes and be in this position. And if I can just take every day at a time, have a purpose with everything I do, I think that's what Ian would really be proud about.
Again, if you want to check it out, it's the Big E Foundation. I was on the website earlier today, and it's a great cause. So congratulations for you, and I'm very proud of you for doing that. That's important. I had an opportunity earlier this summer to play golf with Mr. Kane. I did take his money, but I asked him. I said, who's the best player on the Chicago Blackhawks? Nick Schmaltz. He says it's very, very impressive to watch this young man play the golf. Are you working on your golf game, Nick? And how many strokes am I going to get?
Yeah, me and Burr play, at least 18 every day. So probably got 40 plus rounds in this summer. So yeah, working on my game. And
You've played what?
Huh?
40?
At least, yeah. Is that a lot?
I want your job.
No, but I've been I work out then golf, so I'm still working out.
In that order?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Workout from like 9:30 to 11. Golf from like 12 to 8.
He's not lying. Either.
No.
Yeah, no, I know.
18. Grab
that-
a bite to eat, and then.
That's the
go
North
back
Dakota
on the
math
tee.
on how long it takes to play golf.
But yeah, what's your handicap?
A lot. Never tell anybody what you shoot.
Can't get in our game without a handicap.
Right?
You got to be less than an 18 too.
Where's your favorite course around the Chicagoland area? Have you played a lot of them yet?
Well, Hartman joined Beverly, so I played that a couple times. I really like that Sunset Ridge. Have you played that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that course. But other than that, I haven't played too many courses.
So, does everybody from Chicagoland know where Beverly Country Club is? It's a real nice course. It's become the home of the Chicago Blackhawks. Say who's a member down at Beverly right now from the Blackhawks, past and present.
Who is it? Brian Campbell. I think Taze is like a honorary member or something. Got a free membership.
Taves and Kane.
Yeah, Taze and Kane got that. And Hartman, I think just four, right? I'm not sure.
Brandon Peary,
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Bolig,
Okay.
Steve Smith. Do you belong there?
Me? No, I live in Madison.
What's your home course there? University Ridge, or what is it?
Maple Bluff.
Maple Bluff?
Yep.
Good course, Adam?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's nice.
Is that your home course?
Yeah. We actually, Nick and I, the other day, last week, we played 27 holes in an hour and a half. Really? Yeah, we play fast. When you only do it in 3 or 4 shots every hole, it goes fast.
Not bad. Vinnie, how's your golf game?
You can ask Schmaltz here, but I'm not very good. I like to go out there and be an emotional supporter, but I'm not very good. I'll drive the cart.
John, I saw you kind of like playing golf. You a good golfer?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm probably closer to Vinnie, though. Schmaltz just takes the cake. He's pretty dialed in. But, yeah, I'd love to play.
Now, for you guys, I know obviously you could have went and played juniors if you wanted to. The pressure to go to junior hockey, when I was, way back in the day, I had a meeting with one of the guys from the Central Scouting system, and he said if I ever wanted to play in the National Hockey League, I had to go to juniors. And I played out in the Western Hockey League, a team called the Lethbridge Broncos. And I had a meeting with this guy, and I walked out of this meeting, and it was him, my dad, and myself. And we walked out of that meeting, and I go, Dad, I got to go play in the Western Hockey League if I want to play in the NHL. And he mentioned a guy's name. He said, you ever heard of that guy? And I go, no. And he said, he was the best hockey player that I ever played with, that I'd ever seen. And he didn't make it in the National Hockey League, and he didn't have an education. He says, I want you to think about it. And a lot of players that play in the junior system, they don't finish high school. And that's kind of disappointing, and I know that they have a schoolboy program that's up there. But a lot of players, because of the travel, especially out in the Western League, they don't even finish high school, and they have to go back and finish after their junior career if they want to. But he struck a chord, and he said, you know what, Troy, finish your high school, make your decision. I'm not going to make your decision for you. I went to the University of North Dakota. I was recruited by Yale, by the way, John. I told you that yesterday, but I don't think my scores were going to get me in. But if you had an opportunity, Vinnie or any of you guys, how close was it for you guys to go to maybe the major juniors programs? And a lot of teams, like even out of the USHL, still go and play major juniors. How close were you guys to making those decisions? Vinnie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, obviously there's opportunities there, and a long time ago, it was pretty much 100% of the NHL players were coming from major junior. And it's kind of crazy to look now how many players are in the NHL that played college. But growing up, I honestly didn't have a choice whether to go to major, junior, or college. My parents started telling me from a very young age that no matter what, I'm going to go to college and at least start my degree, and that's what I did. And Notre Dame actually will honor my scholarship. So whenever I'm done playing or whenever I have time, I can go back and finish my degree. So for me, it was a no-brainer, and hockey's not forever, so it's really important to have something to fall back on.
John, I know you kind of, as I said, you committed in your sophomore year at Brunswick Prep School, I believe it was. Was there an option for you, or were you always going to go to school?
Yeah, I remember being drafted in the queue, just because I'm from Connecticut. That's where I was eligible, and I thought about it a little bit. Just the nature of the national program. Some guys are going to leave and go to major junior, but no, I was pretty set on Yale. It was really tough it would have been tough to say no to that. Like I said, when I committed, they were #1 in the country. So to be on a winning program with probably the best coach in college hockey, Keith Elaine, and then obviously the year before I got there, they won the national championship. It was all really special. So it crosses your mind just when your buddies are going major junior. But for me, I wasn't a first-round prospect. I needed the time to develop, and college hockey was definitely the perfect environment for that.
Nick, you had obviously the family history at the University of North Dakota. Your brother played there prior to you. Was there ever a thought that you may go play major junior?
I was thinking about it. I got drafted to the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL. There was a thought there, but I'm really glad that I went to school. I think it helped me off the ice. You get to hang out with students, interact with them, and I think it's just a fun experience to be part of a college. So really glad that I went to school for my time, and looking back at it, I would do the same thing again.
And Adam, that's one thing, because I know you always had the dream that you were going to play at Wisconsin, so there really, in your mind, probably wasn't the option that you were going to go there unless it didn't work out, obviously, which it did. I always talk to, when you talk to the players that play and come through the major junior system, that I feel that they missed something because they didn't experience the college lifestyle. Wisconsin's a great school academically. It's really come a long way in that department. Great academics there. But talk a little bit about maybe what the junior players are missing in the college life. Wisconsin's a great campus. It's a great city. It's a beautiful place to go play.
Yeah, this will probably sound like I'm making fun of my buddies, but I would tell them to their face that when I first turned pro my first year, for a while I lived with Dave Bolin, Troy Brower, Brian Bickle. I think that was it. And one other guy that went to college. Well, those three guys, they had never done laundry. They had never knew how to work a dishwasher. They had never gone grocery shopping on their own. Because in junior hockey in Canada, you live with a family. So they're living with a family. And it's funny in hockey, as you know, Troy, that there's always a college players kind of battle against the major junior Canadian players, and the college guys are wimps because there's no fighting and we wear face masks. And the major junior guys, they live with their parents until they're 20 years old, so they're nerds too. So there's just that battle that goes back and forth all the time. But for me, in college, you're 18 years old and boom, they kick you out the door and you're living on your own, and you got to figure it out, and you've got to manage your time. You've got to figure out if you got a couple bucks in your pocket where to go get lunch that day, or if you can go take a girl out on a date and where you can take her and where they got a good deal so you can try and show off, but it's not that expensive. And then if you want to go for a beer at night, where they got, where does your buddy have a connection where you can get a couple free beers and a shot to go with it? And where the major junior guys, they got to go home by themselves or to their families. They got curfews. They've got someone doing their laundry. They've got somebody washing their dishes for them. And so at that house I lived in, it was a pigsty in there because there's clothes, there's dishes, there's silverware, and these guys didn't know what to do with it because their mom wasn't there to pick up after them. You're 21 years old, dude. Like, do your laundry, man. So that was for me, that was the biggest kind of difference between the college and major junior guys. What about you, though? You guys, if you guys don't know, he was a stud. NHL career, he was a stud in college, and at his time, for you not to go major junior was probably pretty goofy.
Well, you know what, I mean, it's a good question, and again, I kind of touch on the fact that I was told that if I wanted to play in the National Hockey League, and this is back in 1977 probably when I was having this, which a couple years before my draft year, they were saying if you're serious about playing in the National Hockey League, you have to go play major juniors. And after listening to my father, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go get an education. It's not the common way to do it right now. When I was at North Dakota in 1980, the first year, obviously that's when Miracle on Ice happened. And it opened a lot of eyes for college players to play in the National Hockey League, because a bunch of those players came out right after they won the Olympics and played in the National Hockey League. And all of a sudden people were going, wow, there is a different way that you can get to the National Hockey League. So for me, it was a tough decision. For these guys now, it's not such a tough decision because the road's been paved a little bit. There's different options that are there available for you. But back in those days, it wasn't popular, and people looked at me and said, well, yeah, I guess you're not serious about playing in the NHL. But I thought for me, and obviously for you guys, that I felt it was really important that I get an education. And even when I came to Chicago, I went back to North Dakota because I loved Grand Forks. And I went to 5 years of summer school. When it kind of got a little bit old for me to go back there, I switched to DePaul here in Chicago, and I went to night schools for a couple of years. I ended up being a half a year short of my degree. I got traded to Winnipeg, never really ended up going back to school, and ended up finishing my career, never going back. And it's one thing that I'm disappointed in, that I never did finish my degree at the University of North Dakota, wherever I was going to do it. We got some great questions here, and the first one, I think I met Steph yesterday. She's from Grand Forks. Steph, where are you? Where are you? Right there? Okay, well, I met a couple people from Grand Forks yesterday. Hometown, and she puts University of North Dakota on. Obviously, maybe this is for a guy like Adam. What is it like playing in the NHL against former college teammates? Rattle off a couple of the names that you played with when you won the championship in '06.
Yeah, so, well, one, I never scored a goal against him. Brian Elliott, who's a goalie, played in St. Louis a long time, so I played against him a lot. Joe Pavelski in San Jose. Tom Gilbert, who was a defenseman, played for the Kings last year, were three of the guys. And when I played, I just joked around. I would talk a lot of trash, and so if I played against my buddies, I'd crank it up even harder. And for whatever reason, I'm like, guys, you know me. Like, I'm just jerking you around out here, and they never thought my buddies would actually get more mad at me during the games than like other guys on the team that I really didn't like. I actually liked these guys, and so I'd mess with them and I'd joke, and they wouldn't acknowledge me, and they'd say, okay, Bird, knock it off. Would you stop it? Like, we get it, dude. Like, okay, get out of the way. Like, stop it. Holy man, you guys, you know my act. Like, this is I'm messing with you here. Laugh. But my buddies used to get really angry at me, and in the summers they would be like, dude, why were you acting like a dick out there? You know?
What was your go-to line?
There's kids here, Troy. But it's always fun. I'm sure these guys would say too. When you play against your buddies, it feels like there's always a little more at stake, and because afterwards, you know, you may be going for a beer. In the summer, you're going to be with them, and so you want to be able to talk a little bit of trash.
John, did you play in the development program with Donnie Granato?
I did.
So this question is for Ariana, or from Ariana, current Badger. Yeah, all right. How do you think the addition of Donnie Granato will help the players coming in from college hockey?
Obviously, the percentage of NHL players coming from college is much higher now than it was. And I'll speak from my experiences. I had 2 years with Coach Granato, and then I played World Juniors when he was a coach. And I think he does a tremendous job of just balancing, a relationship with players, and then, the hockey side of the game. So he's been through it. He played college and he played pro, and he's coached at the college level and at the pro level. So I think it's great having a coach who understands what you're going through mentally, and can help that transition. So obviously it's a great addition to the Blackhawks, and I think all of us are really excited to start working with Coach Granato.
From Cassidy, and this is for Vinnie. You kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. What's the biggest difference between college hockey and the NHL, and which is more fun?
That's a hard question. I think both are really fun. I mean, anytime you're playing hockey, it's a privilege. So it was a privilege to go to a school like Notre Dame, and it's a privilege to play for an organization like the Blackhawks. But obviously, like I said, the biggest difference is it's just the speed of the game. And also coming from college hockey, you're playing about 35 games a year. And obviously, we play a lot more than that. So the biggest difference is just coming out and playing more games, and it's a lot faster.
And the paychecks, huh, Vinny?
Yeah, that's a nice bonus.
From Shea from LaGrange Park. For all the guys, and I guess maybe real quickly if we can run it down, Vinnie, all the way to Adam there. What's the best piece of advice your college coach ever gave you?
I mean, every day we went to the rink, we got some good advice, but I think mine was just taking the steps to get to the NHL. Everything's always a process, and players all develop at a different pace. So whatever the steps you need to take to the NHL, if you're willing to put in the work, you're going to make it.
For me, I think it was just the constant relationship with Keith Elaine, who has coached at the NHL, Olympic, and now at Yale, so all those levels. And I think he just taught me the importance of perspective. Obviously, for me, it was important to stay for 4 years, and I had the option of leaving early. And I think just that relationship and the advice I got from him to stay and understand that hockey's, it's not going anywhere. It's the big picture that's important. So, you can be a pro in a year. I think the development curve for me after my junior year was so important. So, yeah, I think just the mental side of the game, which is so important now.
I think the biggest thing my coaches kind of drilled into me was just being confident, just know what you do best, and go out there and do your thing, kind of. Just don't, if you make a bad play, don't get down on yourself. Just know that the next time you're out there, you're going to make that play. And, if you're a skilled player, go out there and make some plays. If you're a grinder, go work hard and win your puck battle, stuff like that. So I think just the confidence that they put in me, and just knowing that I can do things at every level.
Yeah, my college coach, Mike Eves, the one thing that always stuck with me that he'd always say is control what you can control. And you can control your attitude, and you can control your work ethic, and a lot of the things you can't, but those are two things you can control. And throughout my career in the NHL, there's a lot of tough days, there's a lot of hard days, there's a lot of days that you're wondering why this is happening or why that's happening, but you can't control any of that stuff. So it was just, you remind myself all the time, just control what you can, and that's your attitude and your work ethic, and then things should work out from there. So that's what I always remembered.
Great advice. Last question from Brianna from Chicago. This is for John. This is for you. If you hadn't been drafted, what were you planning on do with your political science degree?
That's a good question. Obviously, it's such an interesting time to be a political science major with the political climate in America and the recent election. I'm so passionate about hockey that
well said.
I don't put too much thought into that. I was fortunate to get the political science degree from Yale, but the whole time, I was so passionate about hockey, and my goal has been to be an NHL player, not just for a year, but for a long career. So I don't know. I think any front office position in hockey is pretty intriguing. I don't know if I'm cut out for politics, but hopefully I'll be here in Chicago for a long time with you guys, and then I can worry about everything else after.
You got three great young gentlemen here to the left of Adam Burish. Adam had a great career here with the Blackhawks, Cup winner in 2010. The other players are going to be core group of guys that are going to be around the Blackhawks for a lot of years. It is 11:45, and unfortunately that signals the end of our session here. Thank you, everybody, for coming here today. Thank you, everybody, coming down to the 10th annual fan convention. Festival tickets coming up. They're on sale now. That's the next event for the Blackhawks. You don't want to miss it. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you, guys.